Hi friends, welcome to the Shits and Gigs podcast where we keep the vibe high, the humor gets raunchy, and things get spicy when we talk about food. I'm your host Meg Davis. We are back after a week hiatus. We had a really tough week last week. We had lost my father-in-law unexpectedly, and I just needed to take a step back where I could because that was just an unimaginable circumstance that we didn't see coming, and I just need to give myself some grace. But we are back, and I thought, what better way to chat it up with you guys about anything than kind of just focusing on like coping through the chaos, because not only does my world feel like it's upside down, but after the election and everything, a lot of people are kind of in this state of distress right now. So I thought kind of just sharing ways that I've been navigating my personal life this week could also help you guys just feel settled and grounded in your life no matter what you might be navigating. So hopefully this will help you in regards to anything you're working through in life. But yeah, we lost my father-in-law last week. Very hard. I've been a part of the family for 13 years, which is also crazy because like their family number is 13. So kind of an odd circumstance that we're navigating this in our 13th year together. But we're kind of just in that phase where it still feels like a dream. I don't know if any of you guys have lost someone in like your immediate circle. This is kind of, I've lost family members before, but this is our first like inside circle loss, I guess you could call it. So it just still kind of feels not real, and it's just like in those moments when like you think of them, like it hits you, that kind of thing. And we are lucky in the fact that obviously being in our own home is an escape of itself, but just finding ways to also show up for my mother-in-law has been like my main priority, and also obviously my husband. But it's been a tough loss for everyone. Bill was an amazing guy. He was the ultimate family man. He loved his family like nothing else. And he's going to be missed. And I think initially during this time, just leaning on support, allowing to be supported, and allow for help is big. When your life is chaos, you need to lean on your support system, because it just, why suffer through already suffering? Like, just lean on your help, lean on your support system, and allow them to show up in whatever way makes you feel better. And just give yourself some grace, respect where you're at, and just do what you can. And again, take breaks and step back as needed within your abilities, obviously. Like if you have the vacation time accumulated, take some time off. If you need a break for a second and you just need to kind of like recoup and reground, we as Americans definitely push and hustle always. But if you don't deal with the really hard stuff up front and center and you just shove it down, it's going to come back one day and it's probably going to be ugly. So definitely give yourself the space and the grace to deal with whatever you may be navigating. But let's dive right into it. It'll probably be short and sweet today. Coping through the chaos. These are some things that I have found that have been pivotal for myself while navigating this like initial week and a half or so. I have found that my daily anchors that I always preach, specifically on my Bath Bombz episodes. So every morning I wash my face, I do like a face refresh, and then I do some basic moves downstairs for myself. I do my push-ups for a challenge and my headstand. And I have found that still keeping these anchors intact, whether it be in the same order every day or just getting them done each day, has been so helpful for just making it seem like there's some normalcy in my routine, even if the rest of my day feels so different. So daily anchors have been big, whether you like sit down and read at the same time, you journal, you listen to a certain type of music, or maybe a meditation, whatever feels good for you to work in your day, kind of like microdosing your self-care. Keep that consistent or establish a routine so that you can gain some consistency in your day-to-day without it feeling super overwhelming, because these items should also be something that's pouring into your cup. So like I said, things like washing your face or taking the 5 minutes to do like a little daily challenge for yourself exercise wise, going for a walk at the same time every day or at least once a day, whatever feels whole and healing for you. And then breath work has been a huge thing this week, especially when things are feeling really dark and heavy and I kind of like feel, not like I'm hyperventilating, but like in like a very emotional state, like just stopping, closing my eyes, like tuning into the sounds around me and just breathing it out has been huge. And I actually really focused on breath work during my pregnancy for birth purposes, but this has been a skill that I have really leaned on after the fact for many other circumstances as well. And even when I was helping my mother-in-law during that initial time when we were dealing with this, she obviously was in shock, and breath work was one of the things that grounded both of us in that moment, and just brought a millisecond of peace when we were just trying to figure out what the heck was going on. So breath work is huge. And I've also been focusing on breath works via my headstands. So if you're like me and you just simply cannot get out of your head sometimes, I suggest maybe looking into doing some headstands. Obviously, do your research, know your body and any limitations that you have, because this is something that could be bad if you fall and like really hurt yourself. So maybe even look for a guide in like a yoga studio or something of that nature. But headstands have been pivotal for getting out of my head, because all you can do is focus on your breath work and not falling. But basically the breath work ensures that you're not going to fall because it keeps everything nice and tight and stable. So that's been an interesting add in my daily anchor. I've been doing that for maybe like 2 months now, and I can officially hold my headstand full out for like 30 seconds. I could probably go a little longer, but I need to like set a timer or something while I'm doing it, so I'm not counting in my head, and I can again just like really hone in on that breath work. Something else that's been really helpful for all of us, I think, is allowing our emotions to flow when it feels right. Not holding anything in, being honest with each other about how we're feeling so we know how to support one another. Communication is, especially like mine and Josh's, like root value is what I was trying to say, root value. There is almost nothing we don't bring up, especially while it's feeling like hot and heavy. So communication is a big thing, especially when you're navigating hard times, and just being honest with your support system. So find your person or your family member or maybe even a therapist or guide that you can consider your safe space to just like unleash like all your emotion and feel safe but not judged about doing that. So creating that safe space for yourself, or even maybe you just have like a little nook with like a bean bag or something that you can sit on and just allow yourself to release and let go, and just allow those emotions to flow through you without judgment. Know that all your emotions are valid no matter what you're navigating. And if you allow that to just kind of like flow and do its thing, it'll be much less messy and ugly if you allow it to happen in the moment than suppressing and then it comes out when you kind of hit your threshold one day for XYZ reason. So definitely allowing yourself to show up for yourself with just allowing things to release when it feels right. And then one of the last things that has been a huge lifesaver for me for years now, actually, has been a distinction that I learned at something called the Landmark Forum. I highly recommend looking into it. Our local chapter that they do the course out of is in Boston. It's like a weekend commitment, however, life-changing with the things that you learn. And one of the things that they teach us is that our minds are great storytellers. Like our minds are literally wired to make connections and problem solve and brainstorm and do all of these things and ultimately like create stories. So sometimes it is so easy to get wrapped up in our story that we lose sight of what is actually fact and what is story. So I figured I'd give a quick example for this because it's kind of like a unique concept to think about. However, if you're really able to get it, it can be life-changing for reactivity. So like if you find you're a person that you're very reactive, this could maybe be something that could allow you to take a step back and like really think through before reacting. And then also, if you feel like something is just stuck and heavy like in your mind, this may allow you to take steps to break it down in your mind. Even like writing it out, I feel like is very helpful sometimes when I feel like I'm really stuck on something and I'm trying to figure out if it's story or fact. Figuring this out could be life-changing for you. So hopefully you've listened this far and this could be a game-changer coping method for you. So for example, figuring out story from fact. This past weekend, we had already committed to going out for a friend's birthday. And I mean, these are our close friends, so they knew exactly what we were navigating, what we were going through. And we had already mentioned it was kind of going to be a game time decision at this point, and we decided not to go. We just had a very long week and our emotional and social battery was completely drained. So we decided not to go. And outsider's perspective for this example, because we said no, our friends could either see fact that we were just beat and needed some much needed rest time, or they could let story take over and they can take it personal and assume that they are the reason that we decided not to go. Like, oh, like we must have been overwhelming to Meg and Josh, so coming out tonight wasn't an escape for them. So I think they said no because like we were just being too much. So I'm glad they didn't come, but I feel bad that like we maybe burdened them with our emotion or how we were supporting them. That is all story, when in fact is we had a long week and we just needed a beat and we just said no. So it's crazy when you like really kind of try and catch the story versus what's fact. You know what I mean? So if you could get in that headspace, that could be a really powerful thing for you. And I hope that's helpful for whoever has listened this far. And people are just engulfed and debilitated by so much anxiety and so much fear because of this one distinction of like how our mind just creates these layers of story around a simple fact. Because we are, I don't know, it's just we live in a very judgmental society, so it's hard not to explore all options as to why someone might do something or something might happen. It's hard. So if you are able to embrace this distinction and separate story from fact, it can be very powerful for your mental health. So I hope that if you've listened to this far, you maybe explore this option as a coping method for you for no matter what you're going through in life. So let's recap things. Coping through the chaos, find daily anchors to keep life familiar when the rest feels like it's falling apart. Breath work is huge, even if you just take a few minutes lying in bed when you wake up every morning just to really focus on your breath and get centered in that. And for me, I feel like closing my eyes and listening to my surroundings is also very helpful because it takes like one more sensory thing out of the way when you close your eyes and you're just like really present for yourself. Especially when you're feeling really overwhelmed, just to like close your eyes, focus on that breath. It's just, you're kind of taking away stimulation by honing in on just breath work and being present for yourself. Allow emotions to flow. Honesty, creating a safe space is huge. Giving yourself grace, allowing help where needed. And lastly, recognize and come to terms with what's actually within your control, like what's story and what's fact, and what's in your control and what's out of your control is like a huge other thing that you can work on. Knowing what's in your control, what you can actually change in your situation to better or make things more comfortable. But those are two major things. Just like recognizing what's in your control, what's not in your control, what's a story, what's fact. Huge, 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 huge. And then I'm actually going, before I dive into our wellness mocktail, I'm going to read a poem. So fun little fact, I think my last Bath Bombz was actually about signs. And I had found this journal that I'm now writing in. I'm going to try and get back into journaling or just doing what I can to express my emotions on paper, because that has been a huge other coping method for me in years past. But I love this poem. We did end up reading it at my father-in-law's services because he was just like, to know him was to love him. And if you're here, I just want you to know, like, you are here on purpose. Your life has purpose no matter how insignificant you feel. And I think this poem is a beautiful way to kind of just be aware to that, like that our life has so much purpose and has so much impact, even if we feel minuscule. So this was given to me by a friend. It's called The Bregden Principle. I believe it's from a book that she really loves. But here we go. Every life that has been lived until today is a part of the woven braid of life. It takes every person's story to create history. Your life will help determine the course of history. You may think you don't have much of an impact. You do. Every action you take will reflect in someone else's life, someone else's decisions, someone else's future, both good and bad. Yeah. It's like so simple, but it's like, wow, yeah, I feel that. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Let's wrap this thing up with our wellness mocktail. We're going in with a dirty chai protein coffee because it has been hitting the spot lately for me for both my antioxidant and caffeine boost, but also my protein boost thanks to the 15 grams that we get from our protein coffee that's formulated very uniquely. So to do this, it's super simple. You just do 2 scoops of the Herbalife House Blend coffee. You do it in like a little bit of water. Start it cold. You can make our coffees hot. The one thing with protein beverages is that you want to start with like room temp, and then once it's completely dissolved, add in and either froth or stir while you're adding in the hot water. Because if you go super hot right off the bat, the protein will clump and it's disgusting, and I don't wish that on anyone. So for this purpose, we'll just go cold because it's nice and easy. You do probably like 3-4 ounces of water, 2 scoops of the house blend coffee, and then half a teaspoon of the Herbalife chai tea concentrate. That is also a powder, so easily dissolved. Froth it together. I also add like a buttload of cinnamon because I'm like a cinnaho at heart. And this is just a super yummy on-the-go snack option for both boosting your protein and your energy. 10 out of 10 recommend if you want to swing by Elevated Nutrition. We're there Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 2:30, or Saturdays, 8 to 1. Sundays are for fam. Or if you want to hit me up on my Instagram at megdavis.healthcoach, I'd be happy to price that out for you at home. I was going to go into pricing, but who wants to listen to that? If you want pricing, you just message me. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Next up is my guest episode. It launches tomorrow night with Christy. She has a really fun perspective. She had done surrogacy a couple of years ago, and this is something that I've pondered about because one of my biggest fears right now is having another kid because we are just not ready and we are just happy with where we're at. However, I absolutely loved being pregnant. So surrogacy has been something that has been on my mind a little bit. So we're going to lean into that conversation with Christy, and you can tune into that. It launches tomorrow, Friday, 7 p.m. So that'll be a fun convo for you to lean into if it's something that interests you. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in and being here and supporting this stream. This has been like a huge outlet for me. Even before life got really shaky, this whole year has been kind of crazy. I feel like I've been living a movie this year, honestly. If you know, you know. But thanks again for all of the love and support, always from you guys and friends and family. I don't know where I'd be without my support system, so you guys are awesome. Toodles. Have a great day.